Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another amazing episode on the Unleashing Potentials podcast. My name is Bernadette Desir, and I'm your host. And joining me today, all the way from Australia, is Tony. How are you?
Fantastic, Bernadette. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. There's a picture in the background there. Is that in Australia or where is that?
Yeah, that's a development. One of the major cities in Melbourne in Australia is called Melbourne. So that's about a $3 billion development that's being built on the north side of Melbourne. So there's a lot of big stuff happening in this country because we're really, a fast growing population.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's awesome. So,
Thank
Tony,
you.
you're welcome. Can you tell us what is it that you do? How long have you been doing it? Most importantly, why do you do it?
Yeah, look, basically, I started out working in construction, I left school at 15 and started construction when I was 16 years old. Worked in the building industry for a long time. And in Australia, the building industry is a pretty tough industry and you can earn pretty good money
Mhm.
and you can spend it and blow it just as fast. So, because when I grew up as a young I grew up in a family of eight children, and my dad and mum were really hardworking people, but we never really had a lot. So, from a young age, if I wanted to buy myself, a nice sports top or a jacket or something, I had to go and earn money to figure out a way to do it. So I used to mow people's lawns. I used to do a milk round. I used to deliver newspapers. I always found different ways to make some money. When I was 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old,
Mhm.
so that I could get things that I wanted. So when I started work, it was just a bit of a natural progression that I started to earn money, but I also kept on spending money. And that happens to a lot of people. We go out, we get a job or we start a business, we earn some money, and what do? We go and, have a good time.
Mhm.
And from the time I was about, 16 through to about 30, I pretty much blew $750,000 that had passed through my hands in earnings and didn't have anything to show for it. And I bought a business in 1994. I got ripped off. I lost every cent I had. My wife left at the time, and I was left to raise three young children. And my kids back then were 8, 7, and 3. So here I was, 30, 34 years old, no money, completely broke, raising three kids as a single dad. Thought, right, what will I do? So there was two paths I could have gone down. One could have been a path of self-destruction and not such a good thing. But then on the other hand, how do you build yourself out? How do you get out of it? How do you start again? How do you sort of recoup? So I decided to just get work, get a job back on a building site, start to earn money again. But I started to focus then at that point in life. I was doing a fair bit of personal development, right? So Tony Robbins, these type of guys, I started doing courses, seminars, learning stuff. And eventually I saved some money, bought our first house, and I thought, I've got to try to build some wealth here because a lot of people go through their entire lives working and they hope the government's going to take care of them. And the government's not going to take care of you, and the government's not going to come and save you. So the only person who can do something about your own life and your own circumstances is yourself.
Mhm.
So I started to invest in property myself. So I bought a property, then I subdivided, built another one, then I bought one. And this went on for quite a few years. But the thing that really happened, Bernadette, that really helped set me in that direction was the fact that I changed my mindset, I changed my focus on life, I changed my attitude towards money. Um, and I did that because my previous attitude, the reason why I had no money and blew all my money was because my attitude was I'm here for a good time, not a long time. I might as well just blow it, right? And if you know about energy and flow, money comes, but money goes, right? And money goes where it's managed and handled best, and that's where the money doesn't disappear. Money just changes hands.
Mhm.
So over a period of time, I was doing the properties and doing pretty well, and then I looked at the building industry in Australia, and I know that working people make really good money, but then most people were doing what I was doing or end up with no money when they get to retirement. So I decided to start a business in 2011. I've never built a business. I didn't know how to build a business. I just went with pure gut feel from the heart. I want to go and help people do better with money. And I went back into the building industry because I know that industry really well. And I started to help tradies and their wives and their families. But the interesting thing was that I know a lot of times when we start work or we start a business, we're doing it because we want to earn money. I found a bigger purpose for why I was doing what I was doing, and I think this is probably relevant for your listeners that if you want to make a change in your life or your financial circumstances or your financial position, then you need to find your purpose. You know, why do you really want to do that? And I discovered that in the building industry in Australia, family separations, divorces, suicides. It's the highest suicide rate of any industry in Australia. And I knew that the reason that happened to a lot of people was because of financial stress. So if I could go out and teach people and help them do better with their money, have less financial stress, have less personal stress, their relationships are going to be better, their family lives are going to be better. So not only do I help them do a bit better financially, it's actually helping them, it's helping the family, it's keeping families together. And that became a bigger drive. And now my goal and my personal ambition is to get my money coaching and property coaching programs around the building industry right around Australia. And we'll go out and affect 1 million families in this country. So I know it's a bit of a long-winded answer for you, Bernadette, but at the end of the day, that's sort of the story behind it. And the passion behind what I do is I just want to see people do well as opposed to working 40, 45 years of their life, ending up living on baked beans and 2-minute noodles, you know, and they don't have much of a life when they retire.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. Um,
Mm.
you have spoken for so many people, people you don't know, when it comes to money, how to manage it. And I love that you're very proud and confident in so many good ways of sharing your beginning, how humble you started. And the fact that you're able to do that, I know it has inspired people to hear more of what you do. So I appreciate you sharing. I also started from a very, very small beginning. I was born in Haiti and, third world country in Haiti and the Caribbean. And then I'm here in Canada. Definitely the mindset and approach about money is different. The language of business and money is also different. I speak
Mm.
English, but I still don't understand most of the languages that are being used in financial
Mm.
situation. So I'm excited to ask you so many questions today
Yeah.
about
Oh,
that.
look, yeah. And thank you for sharing too. It's a beautiful story. So I think here's the thing. Everyone's got a story.
Yes.
Everyone's had challenges in life. Everyone's had setbacks in life. Everyone's had things go against us or not go our way. And I've always been a big believer in it doesn't matter what happens to you in life, but the only thing that matters is how do you deal with what happens to you.
Mm, yeah.
And there's always choices. And mindset's a pretty powerful thing, but
Hmm.
you have to put in the work. You know, I did personal development, I did seminars, I did training, I hired a coach, I hired a business coach, I hired a social media coach. Like, you've got to have these people around you. I had a smart tax accountant, had a smart finance person. You know, I had smart people teaching me things that I didn't know.
Hmm.
And one of the ways that people can get ahead in life, you know, especially if we want to relate this around money and finance, you have to build a better team around you. Get people around you. It's the same in business. It's the same in life. Or
Yeah.
the same in sport. You
Hmm.
get better people around you who can teach you and show you. And number one, they're going to show you a shorter, faster path. Number two, they're going to teach you ways to do things that you've probably never seen before and didn't know. You know, because we don't know what we don't know. So I love also being really down to earth and really authentic. And
Hmm.
I feel that if you can share your story and share your pain and share your challenges, then other people can see what's possible. And
Yeah.
other people may be in different circumstances, but also going through different points of life.
Yeah.
How do you break through? How do you get out of that? How do you move forward? What's your next step? And
Hmm.
one of the things, the feedback I get from people is the basics that I'm just genuine. I'm down to earth, and I'm there to care for the people. I don't get excited when I see money come into the bank from doing. I don't get excited. I actually get excited when I see people take a step, move forward,
Yeah.
and I know that their lives are going to get better.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What would you say to people who have dreams? They have so many ideas, but they don't really pursue those dreams because they're afraid of criticism from themselves, from others. From what you've shared, it sounded like, yeah, you did feel fear and had questions, but you did it anyways. What would you say to anybody who wants to get into what you do, even other aspects of life?
Yeah, I could probably share a story around that sort of would be relatable to the topic. Was that um, in 2000, I had a job in the building industry in 2011. I'd been with this company for 8 years. I could have stayed in that job for the next 30, 40 years and just cruised along through life and no problem, right? But my passion and my drive was I want to get out and help people. I want to get out and show people how to do better. It took me 2 years to make the decision because the decision was I had to leave that job, leave that security of that job, leave the security of that income, and then go, right, I'm going to head down this path that I don't know. I don't know where it's going to lead me. I don't know, will people like this? I don't know, will I make money? There's all these I don't knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it came back to the fact that the fire within and the way I felt internally was that something was just pushing me saying, Tony, you have to do this. Tony, go down this path. These people need your help. Go down and help these people, right? But 2 years to make the decision. And the way I made the decision was this. I sat and I thought, it was painful because I didn't make that decision. It was painful living in that 2 years, knowing that my heart and my gut instinct is telling me, go down this path.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I think we have to learn to live in life is by following more of this and less of this, right? With more of your heart, less of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
The way I made the decision to put me in the position I'm in today was I said, what's the worst thing that could happen? If I quit my job tomorrow, went out and started a business, what's the worst thing that could happen to me? Well, all right, maybe people don't like what I do. Maybe people won't buy into what I do. Maybe I won't make any money. I don't know, right? So the worst scenario was I could just stop the business, go back and get a job on a building site again like I used to, and I can go back and start earning money, right? So by framing it that way, I took away that bit of the fear of what if.
Yeah.
And it amazes me that 14, 15 years later, since I made that decision, I've got a money coaching program, a property coaching program. I've got hundreds and hundreds of clients. I've got thousands of people that I've helped. I've written 3 books. I'm getting interviewed on podcasts with people like yourself, Bernadette. I'm sharing this story. I speak on stage. I go out and, I talk about what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And the beauty is now that I actually get paid to do what I love. And doing things like this and sharing stories and sharing experiences, you couldn't be more happier, right?
Yeah.
And for most people, they will stay stuck because number one, they need money. A lot of people work in jobs that they just don't even like, don't even enjoy, but hey, it pays the bills, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's purpose and passion, and then having the belief and the heart to follow your gut feel and
Mm-hmm.
go and step down into that journey anyway. So that was my way of dealing with it. And look, it's a big decision. It's a
Mm-hmm.
big decision, and we worry about money, but I can share with your listeners that once you forge down that path and your mindset's moving in a certain direction and you've got now a belief in yourself and things start to grow and evolve, that you'll find you're in the right place. Then you don't worry and stress about things. I don't worry and stress about what's coming next. Where do I get my next client? Where do I make my next dollar? Things just go in flow because you're in flow with life, the universe, energy, and you're moving in the right direction. You're going with what's being taught or what's being shown.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for most people, that's probably a bit of a different way to look at life because
Yeah.
what are we conditioned with? From a young age, you grow up, you get taught, go to school, get an education, go to university, get a good job, get married, buy a house, and hope everything's going to be okay. What are you taught about money? What are you taught about how to grow money? What are you taught about how to build your own life? What are you taught about how to manage your own mindset? What are you taught about personal development? Unless you tread into that path, most people just go down the same thing. And I call it the sheep mentality. They just follow the masses. They follow the herd. But where does the herd in most countries, where do they end up? They end up broken on the poverty line, living a half mediocre lifestyle. I don't think that's the way life was meant to be for most of us.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing. I agree. How can we break free from debt, from stress, and from just daily stress and doubts? Because we live those every day. The bills come every single month, every month. I don't like
Yeah.
it, but it does.
No, you're right. You're right. Bills don't stop because, look, we need money to live, right? That's the society that we live in the Western world. Cool. Everyone gets it. Here's the first thing people should do. And again, I'll relate back to how my experiences helped forge me was that when I started on the journey back in 2011, back in 1994, it was about another 4 years later before I started doing some personal development stuff. You know, I come across Tony Robbins and Dr. John Demartini and I think there's a few others, right? You know, the big personal development gurus. So I started to fall into that path, you know, do a course here, do a seminar, read a book. Nowadays, everything's on the internet, right? Everything you want, you can find on the internet. If you're looking for a path, looking for a way out. So when it came to money, the first thing that I learned to do was that I had to assess my current position. So I had to be raw, I had to be honest, I had to be real. Where's my money going right now? What am I doing with my money on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, right? And this isn't about budgeting because I'll share something with the audience shortly about how they can handle this and change this around pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
So back then I kept my mentor at the time said to me, Tony, what I want you to do, I want you to keep a notepad and pen beside your bed. Every night for the next 30 days, write down what you spent money on that day and where your money went. So I tracked it for 30 days. Nowadays, you can do it on an app. You can do it on a computer. It's like a lot easier, but I did it. I'm writing it down. What I found after 30 days is I got a very clear picture of where I was wasting all my money, right? I was spending about $150 a week on morning teas, lunches, this stuff, you know, while I was working. And I realized there's a lot of waste in my money. So I then made some choices. I said, right, let's take the 5 expenses that I see here where I'm wasting money, where I don't need it. Yeah, you might have, what have we got today? We've got Netflix, we've got Stan, we've got all these subscriptions that we get into. We're wasting time on all this rubbish sitting around watching TV when we could be. And the funny thing is too, right? Australia is a real coffee culture country over here. We love our coffee. I'd have 4 or 5 coffees a day. Now they're about $5 a coffee. That's $25 a day on coffee. That's $125 a week. So with your expenses and things, if people go through this process, is just identify exactly where your money's going today. Identify the things in there where you think, you know what, I don't really need this. I think this is a waste. I could cut back here. I'll guarantee if you do it honestly, you would have to save a minimum of $100 to $200 per week off your expenses. And what you do, the way you think about this, let's say, for instance, if I could reduce my expenses by $100 a week, there's 52 weeks in a year. That's $5,200 a year. Over 10 years, that's $52,000. Now you've got to start thinking bigger picture because $100 a week doesn't excite me. Oh, but it's $5,200 a year. Oh, it's $52,000 over 10 years. If you start to extrapolate it out, you start to get a bigger picture. You start to see, all right, hey, that's $52,000 that I could use. That might help me buy a house. That might help me pay off my house, pay off my mortgage, pay off my debts, whatever that might be, right? That'll be step one. But here's the best thing I reckon I could probably share today. And this was the one strategy that turned my financial world around. Dr. John Demartini world-renowned Demartini, personal development, money, stuff like that. He taught me the principle that you should pay yourself first.
Mm.
Now, what does that mean? We get our money, our income or our business money, wherever our money comes from, right? And what do? Usually the first thing is, okay, I have to pay my bills, I have to pay my mortgage, I got to pay grocery, I've got to have money for the weekend. And we go through this big long list, and at the end we sit there and we go, I can't save because there's nothing left.
Mm.
But wealthy people, here's the difference. Wealthy people do what's called pay yourself first. So when they receive any income or any money at all comes into their world, the first thing they do is they take a small portion of that money,
Mm-hmm.
they move it over into a separate account, and they start to let that money build and grow. And it's what's called a cash buffer account.
Mm-hmm.
When that money gets to a certain point, they don't go out and buy something flash like a brand new car or a big TV, or they don't go and waste it on things that go down in value. They then take that money and put it where it starts to work and starts to grow. In Australia, we love real estate. We put a lot of money into property and real estate. That's how we invest and grow over here. It's just this passion that Australians have got.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're saying to the universe, I'm number one. And a lot of people, because of our conditioning and because of our upbringing, find that hard, because what are we taught? Give, don't be greedy, and then we've got all these beliefs around money, rich get richer, poor get poorer, money's hard, like all this stuff. So if you start paying yourself first, and even if it's $5 a week, $10 a week, $20 a week, $100 a week, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's the principle of taking that money, paying yourself first, putting it into an account, letting that build and grow, and then from there, money starts to flow because you're now placing a higher priority on money.
Yeah.
In business, what happens with most people in business, I don't know if you've got a lot of business owners or business listeners, but businesses generally do the same thing. And the last person that gets paid is the person who's putting in the blood, sweat, and tears to go out and run that business and build that business.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be the other way around, right? Pay yourself first, and then other things start to happen. But it just opens up this flow. I can't explain how it works. It just does. But when you do those couple of things, identify exactly where you're at financially, start a pay yourself first system, you start to take that little bit of stress and that little bit of anxiety away. What happens when bills come in, Bernadette? A lot of people don't have money sitting behind them. So what do? They're going to stress. Oh, no, I've got to wait till payday. How do I do it? And then that builds up in the person, that builds up in the relationship, that builds up in the family dynamics. And this is where this whole stress thing plays out. People are under pressure to stay at work, to work overtime, to work longer hours. Gee, how the hell do we? And it just becomes this whole vortex. Like, how the hell do I get out?
Yeah.
You're not going to get out overnight. You're going to get out by being real. You'll get out by having a better focus with money. You'll get out by making better decisions with money. And the way to help yourself get out is to start to pay yourself first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love the idea of paying myself first. Yeah, thank you for sharing. I think some companies, they make it their mission to keep the poverty cycle of society going. I'm going somewhere here. I don't like commercials. Not that I hate the business. It's just I already understand their perspective and what they're trying to do. And there's seasonal spending. Around Christmas time, all the money has to go because we're conditioned. If you don't give a gift, then you don't like that person. And it's just a cycle that goes on and on and on. It's just jumping off the loop that's been circling around. And I think the minute we choose to do things differently, we become the black sheep, the outcast, just all those names that people use. What are your thoughts?
Totally agree with you. When you move out from mainstream thinking and mainstream behavior, which is what I call the sheep mentality, right? That's where, say 97% of the population go down that same path, and they're just listening to governments and they're listening to what's being taught to them. What they should do is just stop and think for a minute and have a look around at everyone who's following the same path. Where do they all end up? Under control of the government, in poverty, relying on a government for a pension or a payment just to live and survive, it's flawed. And that's what we're conditioned with. Commercials, businesses, we're in a really highly visual society now with the internet and mobile phones. And look, it's just, we're bombarded day in, day out. Again, though, right, if you can create a purpose or a passion about why do you want to earn money, what do you want to do with that money, and how do you want your life to be, you'll start moving in a different direction to everybody else, because you won't keep doing the day-to-day things that they're all doing. But it's easy to talk about it, but it's harder to implement it. And it's not something that people will change in an instant. You have to be prepared to do the work. You have to be prepared to go through the challenges. You have to be prepared to step outside your comfort zone. You have to be prepared to do things that you may or may not have done before. Because the minute you make that choice and make that decision to move in that direction, then you're really saying to the universe, I want to go this way. So I don't know what it was. I learned from a young age. I questioned school. Why do I need to learn this? I questioned authority. I questioned governments. Who give you the right to tell me that this is how I have to live? And I'm not against it all, right? But I'm looking at it going, do I have to live that way? Do I have to follow the sheep? And from a very young age, I was always a little bit left field. I thought, well, I don't do it that way. I do it this way. I'm not going that way. I'm going this way. As I said earlier, I came from a very big family. There was 8 children in my family. And in my dad's family, there was 13 kids. And here's what we were taught. Go out, work hard, be a good person, use your manners, and you'll be okay. We weren't taught anything about how to plan your life. Weren't taught anything about how to manage or grow your money. Weren't taught anything about how to build a better life. Like, just go and work hard, work hard, work hard. And we were very hard workers, but where'd it get us? And so I had to break the mold. And when you're out there, and as you said, Bernadette, I think you put it beautifully, we're like outcasts. We're in a very, very small minority when we head down that path of what we do. And you being an entrepreneur yourself, running business yourself, you know that we're now forging a different path. And it's lonely. It's hard. It's tough. I remember people calling me a capitalist. I was working on building sites, and this guy said to me one day at lunchtime, I had 2 properties, right? Which isn't a lot. And he goes, oh, what's this? I hear you've got 2 properties, Tony. I said, yeah, I've got 2 properties. Yeah, why? He goes, oh, what? Are you some sort of capitalist, are you? And I said to this guy, I said, have you got a problem with me trying to better my life and better my family and do better for my family? He goes, oh, that's capitalist. You've got... And I thought, right, I need to be careful about who I talk to, who I hang out with, what type of people I want to be around, because those types of people are going to try to drag you down. Their insecurities are going to try to pull you back. This happens inside families. It happens inside life. Your friends, your relatives, they see what you're doing. I don't know what it is. They'll try to talk you out of it. They'll try to pull you back. But you have to stay true to you. Yeah. And it's a lonely path. So as we move down our new journey, then we've got to try to attract and get around people who are going to be there with us, are going to support us, are going to back us in. They're going to help us go forward. So you'll find that I left all my old friends behind. I still love them dearly. I still care for them. But we don't hang out like we used to. We don't go to the pub. We don't go out gambling and doing all the things I used to do. I'm in a different dynamic now. If I still see my friends, I say, hey, how you doing? I'll have a beer with them. But I forged down a different path. So your point's really relative.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah, those people who do that, I think I have nothing to lose, so I'll share whatever I want. Those people who do that, it's a reflection of who they are and what they want. Because most people just sit on their tuition, do nothing with their life, and they get envious, irritated, or mad at the person that says, I'm not going to stay here with you for the next 10, 20 years. I want more. And they question, how dare you to want more when we're from the same hole? How dare you to want to get up to get to that level? And those are the people that stays in the loop. And
Mm,
those of us who choose to step out, we're the rebels, the outside. I love people that are outside the box. I'm outside
yeah,
the box. We're made
I
fun of,
love it.
calling, all of it. And for me, that's my fuel. It
Mm,
means that I touch something in them. Something's working. So I'm like, keep it
mm.
coming, because if you get irritated by just what I do, then you want what I have. So you can't have what I have because I worked for it.
Oh no, I love it. I'm totally aligned with you because it adds a bit more to the challenge for us. It's like, oh yeah, what
Yeah.
you say I can't do this? I'll show you. Or oh what do you think you're doing going out? I had people reject what I do by going on building sites trying to help building workers in Australia. People reject, what are you doing coming here teaching people about that? Why would we want to make money? Why would we want to?
Mm.
That's someone else's beliefs. That's someone else's story. But the minute that started to happen, then I had to build resilience. I had to build more strength. It becomes a mental test for us, right? So how do we continue? Or do we stop? Or are we doing the right thing? You can get a bit doubtful. We've got to just forge forward. So the beauty about going down that path is that we become better, we become stronger, we build better mindsets. Our passion gets reinforced because we know we're on this better journey. And we can learn to just separate the two because we can't help everybody. We can only help people who want to be helped.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins is probably the biggest personal development guru on the planet. Tony's touched millions and millions and millions of lives. Even Tony can only help the ones who want to be helped.
Mhm.
And I guess we're probably talking about the victim mentality here.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The government this, the government that, and I didn't get this, and I got told that, and they'll just make up all these excuses. They'll blame every single person under the sun that they can, and the only person they don't look at and look in the mirror is themselves
Hmm.
because it's too painful.
Yeah, yeah. I call it the narrow path, for us, people like you and me and many others. It's so narrow that it's so painful. At times we feel hope, we feel despair. There's a little tunnel. You see the glimpse of light kind of flashing, but it's not much. And
Mm.
all people can choose to go on the bigger path where they get everything fed to them, but they're not really engaging or growing. Yeah.
Yeah, that probably raises the topic of parenting. How do you help your kids when it comes to money? And one thing that I learned was that if you keep on help bailing someone out, keep on rescuing someone, keep on paying for someone, when they continually make mistake after mistake after mistake and get themselves into debt and do all these things that they do with money,
Mm.
as a parent, you don't want to go bailing them out because they won't learn the lesson. They'll do it again, they'll fall over again, they'll make the mistakes again. And here you are as a parent paying out money, thinking that, I've got to save my child, I've got to save them, I've got to help them. Well and good. But if you continually do it, time after time after time, they're not learning the lesson. They're not going to grow. They're not going to change their behaviour, and their life's going to pretty much go down that path, which is sad. Now, a little bit of tough love, and we're in a society today where, it's, don't upset me, don't do this. Oh, yeah, we're in a real cotton wool world, right? Where kids are brought up, it's all cotton wool. They don't take risks. They're not allowed to do things. You're not allowed to say things. It's just how this crazy society is right now around the planet. But
Yeah.
for me, I'm a big believer in tough love. I've done it with a couple of my kids. I've said, hey, you need to learn your lesson here. You need to forge your own path. You need to get yourself out of trouble. You can't keep coming back to me, right?
Mhm.
Um, it's hard to do, yeah, because as a parent, you love and you care for them, but you got to look at it and go, well, hang on, it's in their best interest because I want you to learn, I want you to grow, I want you to get better. Now, they may not like it, but I can guarantee you this, that once they go through it, they start to understand it. And nowadays, my kids don't come back to me with problems and challenges about money. They got to deal themselves. They learn their own way, right? Yeah, would I help them out? Would I love to do? Of course I would, but they need to learn the lesson themselves. And it's the same in any area of life,
Mhm.
relationships and careers and building business. You learn by the lessons. You learn by the challenges. You learn by, you know, the roadblocks and the setups, and that's how we grow and evolve. But for a lot of people, it's just too hard. Money for a lot of people, in my view, it's in the too hard basket. They look at it, they get overwhelmed, they feel anxiety, they feel stress. Oh, it's too hard. I'll go watch TV. Or they'll find an outlet. They'll find alcohol. They'll find gambling. Or they might do drugs. I don't know what it might be, but they look for this other outlet because they can't face the reality of where they're really at.
Escapism. They're trying to escape. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So it's like trying to run from your feet, but you can never do that. It's attached to you.
I love that. I love that. That's cool.
Yeah, it takes them so long to learn that. And I'm just here looking, like, what are you doing trying to do that?
Yeah.
You can't run from it.
Yeah. I don't know about you, like I'm a real people person, and I look at people and I watch people and think, what makes that person do what they're doing? Why does that person choose to live that way, right? And people fascinate me.
Oh, me too.
And yeah. Yeah, what makes people tick?
Yeah.
And it goes back to the core things, like your values, your beliefs, your upbringing, your conditioning. They'll play major factors in how people live and behave and evolve. And I guess unless you're aware of that or awake up to that, because I mean, seriously, how many people actually get taught that? What are your values? What are your beliefs? Most people are just on autopilot. They're conditioned and they're just autopilot and they're shooting down that runway, but they've got no idea where they're going or what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
But when you learn to understand this stuff and learn to dig in, you got to dig into yourself. And I'm a super believer in that my life is my responsibility.
Oof.
No one else's.
Yeah.
It's not a partner. It's not my parents. It's not the government. It's not whatever. My life is my responsibility. End of story. Can't blame anybody. Yes, I like it. I'll jot that down.
Wow. That's just one sentence that honestly describes a whole book, because
Absolutely.
people often want other people to be responsible for their problems. I'm like, no, thanks. I have my own. I have a whole pile actually, so you can keep yours. It's like exchanging gifts. I'm like, I don't want your crap because I have my own crap I'm dealing with. Would you like me to help you with your crap? And I think we need to continue to love on those people, but with boundaries. I was gonna say limit, but with boundaries. It's kind of like guiding a child to ride a bicycle. They fall,
Yeah,
you gotta keep getting up. Yeah.
yeah. It's a really good point. And when you talk about, say, let's go on this topic, my life's my responsibility. I'm responsible for what I do today. I'm responsible for what I do in the next hour. So if we break it down and just chunk it down to simplicity, let's presume someone got up this morning and then it's 8 o'clock at night and they're sitting there before they go to bed and go, okay, well, what did I do today? How did I improve my life today? What impact did I have today? Did I live today the way I really want to live? What did today mean to me? Because, see, people don't think about what's happening, and because they're conditioned. They're moving on autopilot. And I think that if you can sit down and go, right, I'm responsible for my life. So that means, can I read a book and learn something new? Of course I can. Can I go on the internet and learn how to deal with challenges? Can I go on the internet and learn how to deal with money? Can I get on the internet and learn how to change my mindset? There's a ton of free stuff out there. If you've got no money, that's no excuse. You can get on the internet. You can check stuff out. There's plenty out there, right?
There's
Yeah, look at AI and all that stuff now, right? You can get on there and you can create your own course in 5 minutes. It's not hard to do. But until you take that responsibility, Bernadette, people's lives aren't going to change, because, the best thing that happened to me, the best thing was that I just had to have that reality check. Tony,
so fun.
this is where you're...
The checks are fun.
You think about this, between 1981 and 2000, I blew $750,000 that physically went through my hands, that I'd earned 750. I blew it, the whole lot. Now, in today's dollars, that's about, 1.8 million.
Mm.
That would be devastating for most people. But I cut the cord, I faced the reality, and I made the choice and the decision to do better with money and head down a different path. Now, did I know everything at the time? Of course not.
Mm.
Was there a lot of unknowns? Absolutely. But I quit a job that I had where I was on $100,000 a year, and I quit it. Now I got no income. Now I'm going to start a business. Holy shit!
Yeah.
What am I going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, I love the term character building. Yeah, it was character building. It was testing me. Hey, do you really want this, Tony? Have you got what it takes here?
Mhm.
Can you go down that path and stay strong and stay true to you?
Yeah.
And I tell you what, people's fears are the thing that hold them back, right?
Mm.
So your better life, here we are here, and here's fear, right? We're hitting this wall all the time, our mind, people, you can't do this, But I tell you what, your better life is on the other side of fear. Your better life is when you break through and go over the other side, So whether you go through, over, under, or around,
Mhm.
your better life is over here. So whatever fear that you've got, and it is tough to do, I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy,
Mm.
but when you face that fear and you take that fear on, you'll find that over the other side, when you look back, it was just something that you created in your own mind anyway. Most fears are things that haven't even happened. And most times they don't even play out, right? But you'll only find out when you go to the other side, when you take that step.
Yeah. 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 I definitely agree. Thank you for sharing. And I think most people are
Yeah.
living their parents' life. Like they're different from them, but they're living their dreams, what they wanted to be, didn't become. And they're unfulfilled, very unhappy. They didn't never said anything. And they've reached an age, they're like, who am I? What am I? Where am I? It's like being lost. You just don't know because you haven't been living in your um, potential.
Yeah, it's the old monkey see, monkey do, right? We're brought up, we're conditioned. I was exactly like my dad. I lived the first, 20 plus years of my life. I idolized that. I wanted to be like that. I wanted to have 8 kids. I just wanted to work hard. And it was only when I seen my dad go through an illness and I seen my dad pass away that I looked at life and thought he worked his entire life. He really worked hard. He was a beautiful man, but his whole life had worked. And I thought, for what?
Mm,
What's this for? Right? And I felt that I can't go down that path. I've got to go find a different way.
yeah.
And that was just another catalyst. You'll find little things happen to us in life and during life that the catalysts that make us think differently or move differently or go about something. And for me, that was a big moving point, and it just made me realise that you know what, my life is my life, and I want to live life the way I want to live. And
Yeah.
I wanted to be free from a job. I wanted to be free from a government. I don't want to rely on other people for me to live my life. And my values around life, my health, my well-being. I love my exercise. I go down the beach every morning. I ride my bike. I play golf. My life and lifestyle is about not so much a specific dollar amount, right? That number doesn't worry me, but have I accumulated and built enough that allows me to live life on my terms and do things the way I want to do and live how I want to live, right? I
Yeah.
can do this podcast now. The sun's coming up here in Australia. I've got the beach across the road. I can go straight down the beach, have a run, have a swim,
Hmm.
and I'm living life on my terms.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's not a lot of people who get the opportunity to do that. I think, I think is it about like 3% of people actually get to break through and live the life that they really want to live while the rest
Mm.
stay stuck?
I hope it's more because it's sad. It's so
It's
sad. Yeah.
Yeah, it breaks my heart. It really does because I can relate to it. I've worked hard. I've been in. I've seen my family. I've seen friends working hard for what? To
Hmm.
live on a pension when you get older? You can't have a holiday. You can't have a decent time. You can't have a decent meal because they can't afford anything, right?
Hmm.
I don't think that's the reward after 40, 45 years of work.
Yeah.
I think your rewards, you should be able to do the things you want to do, travel where you want to go, have the holidays, enjoy life, look after your family, look after your kids, all that. But unfortunately, because people don't plan and people don't think that far ahead, I don't know. Have you been to Australia?
No, I want to come. I've interviewed
Oh, well,
lots
come.
of amazing
Yeah.
people there.
Yeah, come down to Queensland anytime. You're quite welcome. Yeah, but see, in Australia, we're a really laid back country, right?
I know
And the
from the
and
people
most
I've
people,
talked to.
yeah. Well, there's plenty go to Canada, right? Everyone, all the Aussies go to Canada. So, where was I going with that? Oh, yeah. Most people they don't think past this weekend. They don't think past their next payday. They're not thinking a year or 5 years or 10 or 20 or 30 ahead. It's too much.
Yeah.
They're just trying to, they're living in what I call survival mode. They're just trying to survive week to week, week to week, week to week, right? And that then limits their thinking, limits their vision, limits their creativity, limits their mindset around, hey, you know what? I don't really have to keep doing this. I can go somewhere else. And then because they get so stuck and conditioned, the longer you're in it, it's like an alcoholic trying to stop a drink or a drug addict trying to take drugs. The longer they're in that, the more conditioned it becomes, the harder it is to get out. Also, people when they become overweight, it's easy to put the weight on, but then how the hell do you get it off, right? And when you
Yeah.
get yourself into a hole and a stuck situation, how the hell do you get yourself out? I
Mm.
mean, I remember in 1994, I was completely broke. I'd lost every cent I had. I owned nothing. I had $10 to my name and I had three kids, 8, 7, and 3, that I had to look after and feed.
Mm.
That was my rock bottom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, how did I get out?
Mm.
First off, I just made a choice. I've got to go down this path. I've got to start rebuilding my life, rebuilding my money, rebuilding my finances. So what's the first thing I do? I had to go back and get a job. The only thing I knew was the construction industry. So I went back onto building sites and started working again. Then I had to learn about money. Then I had to learn about not wasting my money and how do I save and how do I pay myself first. And I start this whole learning journey. Then
Yeah.
I start reading books. I start going to courses. I start doing seminars. And then I'm all of a sudden, my knowledge is increasing. My mindset's expanding. I'm starting to think better, do better, feel better, and I'm starting to attract better.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And that was the role and that was the path and that was the journey. So it doesn't matter where somebody is today.
Hmm.
You can always make a decision to change it.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And you
agree.
may not change it overnight, but if you just take a step, I like the old, you can't eat an elephant, you got to eat an elephant one bite at a time, right?
Hmm.
And it's the same with life. Just create little steps. Today, what are 2 or 3 things you could do today, right now, to improve you, improve your life, improve your money, improve your finances? Just a couple of little things. What are a couple of little steps you could take today? What are a couple of little steps you take tomorrow and the day after? And if you do that every day for the next month, for the next year, you're going to have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of little steps and little actions that you're now starting to take. And when you do that, your energy lifts, your energy changes, your mindset changes. And, I don't want to get too woo-ah here because I'm not, but it's all about energy and attraction. And what you think and what you feel is what you create. Most people look at life and they look out there, because of that, and they're looking out there when they really should be looking and feeling in here,
Yeah.
because everything we create in our life comes from within. And that's a concept that I think probably 90% of the population don't even understand because they've never been taught.
Mm. Yeah, you're right. I agree. Yeah. Tony, can you touch a little bit more as to why saving for retirement is important? Because I know millennials, they think they're never going to get old. I'm not looking forward to getting older, but why is it important to start saving now?
Yeah, look, again, it's a difficult one because you mentioned the millennials, they don't really think like that. But at one point in time, they're going to get to a point in their life where they are going to think like that, and it's probably going to be too late, right?
Mm.
So for most people, it's how do you want to live when you do get to that point in time? How
Mm-hmm.
much money do you think you will need? Again, this is something that people don't even think about, haven't even done. And one of the challenges for people is they might sit there and think, in Australia, we've got a savings scheme. It's called superannuation. So your employer or yourself, you pay money into a super. It's like in America, it's a 401k. I don't know. What do they call it in Canada?
Tax?
I'm not quite
We
sure.
have tax
What
here.
is it?
Tax?
No,
Because
not
when
tax. No,
someone's
this is where,
working, they take off some money off their accounts and then they do their yearly taxes and they get whatever they put on there, I think. I don't know. They have so many different things. I don't speak
yeah.
finance well.
Okay, no, that's cool. No, that's cool. Well, anyway, in Australia, it's sort of a retirement savings plan. So money goes into a superannuation fund, and when you retire, you get a big lump sum that's paid out, and you use that money to live on for the rest of your life. What people don't understand, let's say we've got someone who's 30 years old today, and the retirement age in Australia is 67. I don't know what it is overseas, but our retirement age is 67. So at 67, you can get access to your superannuation and your money, and that's got to last you your lifetime. Here's what people don't think about. They sit there today, this is especially in Australia, someone sits there and thinks, I'll have $500,000 in my retirement fund at 67. I'm laughing. I'm home. I'm all the way. I'm cruisy. What they don't forget is that between 30 and 67, which is 37 years, the cost of living has doubled twice.
Mm,
So by the time they get to 67, their 500,000 is going to be worth about 100,000 in terms of today's dollars relevant going forward, because the cost of living and inflation has gone up and it's doubled twice. Now your value of that 500,000 has gone down. That money there to live on that lifestyle at that time, people won't have the money to do it. Then if a stock market crashes, the economy goes bad, something crazy happens around the world and you lose 30-40% overnight, I see a big problem coming up, especially in Australia and probably other countries too, that people will not have enough money to live on. The governments of the world will not have the money to pay for them and support people, and it's not a way to live anyway, right? So
mm,
what are people going to do?
yeah, yeah.
And I really think, Bernadette, that unless people get the reality of what I just spoke about, they're
Hmm.
going to be in a lot of trouble when they get to retirement. And I feel that's another reason why I do what I do, because I want to expose people to this is where you're heading, this is where you're going. You want to do something about it, I'll help you do it. If you don't, that's your choice. But I see big, big problems because, again, my life's my responsibility. Well, money's my responsibility. The government's not going to save you. There's nobody going to come out and save you. The only person who can save you is you. And
Mm,
you'll do that by learning, by growing, by getting knowledge, by getting better people around you. That's how you will expand and get there. But for the average person, they don't think about it until they get much later in life. But then a lot of times they sit and go, well, now
hmm.
you've lost one of the biggest assets that you've got, which is time. And
Yeah.
the faster you learn to invest a portion of your money and get that money to grow and get that money to compound, because the earlier you start, the better it'll grow, but the more it'll compound at the end, because that's where you get the big kick.
Hmm.
Unless people do something now, honestly, they're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree,
Now,
100.
what happens when people don't have money?
Um,
Crime.
yeah. It goes
Right?
somewhere. I don't know.
People get desperate, right? People are going to do desperate stuff, desperate things. There was
Mm,
an old saying, "Money's the root of all evil." That's not the actual saying. The actual saying was, "The lack of money is the root of all evil."
mm. Which reminds
When
me, as
people,
you're talking, sorry, go ahead.
you're right, cool.
Yeah, we have wheels here. Wheels.
Yes,
That's something that you guys also have.
we do. Yeah, absolutely. I'm
Okay.
doing one right. Actually, updating my will right now. Yeah.
Okay. Because my sister was doing hers with her partner, and she was asking me, I'm like, what the heck is that? And she was
Mm.
explaining, I'm like, are you planning on killing me? We're joking around about it. Um, but I think it's something that everybody should learn more about and actually do, because
Mm.
my adoptive mom passed. I was adopted, and all of a
Mm.
sudden I'm getting letters from so and so who passed. I don't even know so and so. This
Mm.
is this money. You're not allowed to have it. Like, I don't want your money. I don't even know who you are. Right? So there's a lot that can be left unsaid because once
Oh,
you're out, you're out.
yeah. I mean, that's a really good example you just shared, and thank you. Like your stepmom, obviously she's had a will. So because if you don't have a will, and I'm not 100% sure on the exact laws, say in Canada or the USA, but definitely in Australia, if you don't have a written will, a legal written will about your assets, your money, your finances, your possessions, the government can take control of that and claim it. Whereas if you want this to go to your family, to your children, whoever it might be, you need to have that legally documented so that if you do pass and something happens, then there's a legal document that says this is where I want my money to go and this is how it's to get distributed. So obviously your stepmom was on the money with that because she's got that done and she wanted you to have whatever that portion was. Now, again, this is a big challenge because a lot of people pass away and they don't have that in place. So now the family ends up having to go and contest with the government and whoever else. There could be monies owing, there could be debts, and then other people come in and go, "Well, I knew her, I want money off you," and and it just
Yeah.
becomes a nightmare for people to deal with. And at a time when you're going through loss,
Mm,
it's not what people need to be dealing with. It's probably the worst time to have to deal with stuff like that, right?
mhm.
Because
Yeah.
there's enough going on as there is. So, yeah, look, wills are really important. People, should have those in place.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, yeah. And
Mm.
also when for emergency, I think there's so many people, I'll put myself in this because I'm
Mm.
guilty too.
Yep.
If there were to be an emergency, I don't have enough saved for it because I'm busy paying bills. I'm busy trying to live. I can't think of an emergency, even though I can't control if an emergency happened. I'm just not ready for it.
Yeah, and it happens all the time. I did a survey in the building industry in one of our biggest cities about 7 years ago. Now, the workers that I surveyed at the time, they were earning between $1,500 to $2,500 a week take home in their packet, right? Which is good money, really. Australians, we earn good money over here. It's a wealthy country in the sense that we can make good money in income working. I found that 62% of those people that I'd surveyed, and I surveyed 700 of them, I found that 62% of them were living week to week, pay packet to pay packet.
Mm,
That's earning that big money. They're on really good money. They should have thousands in the bank. 62% of them are living week to week, pay packet to pay packet
wow.
because they feel here's what happens: the more people tend to earn, then their lifestyle goes up. They go out and spend more, right? They go out and buy more, and we're a real consumer-based society. And next thing they're in this spin wheel, it doesn't matter how much money they earn,
Yeah.
because the more they earn, the more they're going to spend, the more they're going to. So, in answer to your question there, then I would just go back to, and it's like the tortoise and the hare.
Mm,
You got to be the tortoise for a little while if you're just starting to get your act together when it comes to your money, right? So go back and dissect where every cent goes. Go and get rid of two or three or four things that you really think, you know what, I actually don't really need this. I'll tell you something that you can do right now. You can go through your house and your personal belongings and look at all the stuff you've got that you don't even use, you don't even need, that you could sell tomorrow, put it on the internet, wherever, and just sell and get rid of stuff. They say the average person's got between $1,000 to $10,000 worth of stuff that they actually don't need that they can get rid of.
mhm,
So, you know, I'm going back to basics here. And then also the pay yourself first.
mhm.
It's really important. If it's $5 a week, $2 a week, $20 a week, just set up a little separate sub account to your bank account and just make sure that every time you get money, whether it's a weekly pay packet, a monthly pay packet, take a portion of that money and put it over here and then start working on your mindset.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do better with money? What can I do today? Do I need to change something that I'm doing? Can I earn a little bit somewhere else? Is there a side hustle I could start? Is there a way I could make some money on the internet? what am I passionate about? What do I love doing? Can I make money off what I love or what I do? This is where the expansion comes in. You've got to start to think and get it, but it only it all starts from the reality check.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah.
I mean, think about this. If I said to you, Bernadette, if you had a choice today to live with debt and have lots of debts and bills coming in where life's pretty stressful, or you had an opportunity to change your life, do better with your money so that whenever a bill comes in, you've already got enough money in a cash buffer behind you to handle it, which way would you choose?
Oh, the better one, the second one.
No brainer, right?
Yeah.
No brainer. So that's where your focus has got to go. You've got to build. I teach people to build what's called a cash buffer. So they need to have at least a month to 2 months of income sitting behind them, just in a normal standard account, doesn't matter where. And that there is what I call my rainy day cash buffer. So if something comes up, an unexpected emergency happens, or I need money, my car breaks down, whatever it might be, you're not going to stress out. You're not going to go and get a credit card and start doing all that. You're going to have a cash buffer here.
Yeah.
And I can share with you that once you start to build that, then you'll get more excited by seeing money grow than by seeing money go out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
You're
here's
right.
what people do. They look at their debts, and when they look at their debts, then they start to feel, oh God, oh no, oh right,
Yeah.
and this whole thing starts.
Yeah.
But when you start to see debt going down, and you start to see savings and money accumulating and growing, now you're going to get a little bit excited. But if people continually just sit there looking at the debt, looking at the debt, looking at the debt, looking at the debt,
Mm.
they're not going to get that feeling of, hey, hang on, I can see some light over here at the end of the tunnel. So I think you've got to have both going on.
Mhm.
And then the minute you start to see debts coming down and you start to see money starting to grow, you start to get in light and you start to feel better. Oh, hey, look, now I've got that, now I've got that.
Mhm.
And that then's going to excite you.
Yeah.
That's going to build more in here, and it's going to take you out of that negative spiral mindset that you're just constantly seeing debt, or you're constantly seeing bills, you're constantly seeing struggle.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, that's where a lot of people are stuck.
Yeah.
So if you just took $10 or $20 or $50 a week, whatever you can afford, and started building that cash buffer, and then look for other ways, can I create money? Can I make more money? Because there's, like when I was a kid, I did 5, 6 different jobs, delivering newspapers, doing milk rounds, picking tomatoes, mowing lawns, umpiring basketball, you name it. I had all these different ways because I loved, you call it over in the States, they call it Adidas. I call it Adidas, the sports, three
Yeah.
stripes. I
Yeah.
wanted Adidas tracksuit tops and
Mhm.
sports shoes and footy boots and things. Mum and Dad couldn't buy them.
Mm.
I had to find a way to go get them. Well, I did because I wanted that so bad. I still wear Adidas today. I love it. I love it. It's still the same. But and that was the drive because I needed to get the money to get that. That's what I wanted. Mum and Dad couldn't do it. I had to do it.
Mhm.
Take responsibility. See, we're just going back to the same thing.
Yeah. 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 I love it. What an amazing interview and conversation this has been. We could talk for hours, but time is not on my side.
Absolutely,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. No, I
Um,
totally love it. Oh, fantastic. I'm glad we've got together.
yeah, definitely. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you'd like to share?
I think we might just round it off with I really feel for people that your best life is on the other side of fear.
Hmm.
Your better world, your better life is on the other side of fear. And try to think about your life and probably just maybe try to answer this one question. How do I really want to live?
Mm.
What do I want my life to really be about? And you won't answer that in the next 30 seconds. But if you write those two questions down and then come back to them, and it may be a week, it may be a month, it may be whatever, but you'll start to, and I think writing things down gets stuff out of our heads. And if you start to think about that, how do I want my life to be? How do I really want to live my life? That then is the start for you to start moving in that direction and start to go for what you want as opposed to go for what everybody else tells you to do.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of life, what is the meaning of life for you?
Oh, look, I think life's a game. I really, really do. I think it's a game. It's like it's a bit of the old cat and mouse thing. It's here to be enjoyed. I think we're here to find the best version of ourselves.
Hmm.
And I think life is that the challenge in life is, can I live life the way I want to live?
Mm, yeah,
That's my view. And I don't take life seriously, right? I know some stuff's going to happen. There's upside, there's downside, there's good times, there's bad times.
yeah.
Shit's going to happen to us. I get it. But for me, whatever happens, I'll deal with. And I just don't live a stressed life. I enjoy life. I roll with it. I go with the flow. I've learned to live intuitively and instinctively from the heart.
Mm,
I don't live up here anymore. I did for years and years and years, thinking about it, worrying about it, logical thinking. I've gone down into here and go, you know what? I know I'm okay. I'm always all right. Things always happen for me. I do affirmations. I do all this stuff. It's all mindset. But for me, living life on my terms and just enjoying what you do. That's pretty basic and pretty simple.
yeah, yeah. That's my mindset too.
Yeah,
And
cool, cool.
because stuff is still gonna happen. So why
Yeah,
stress of it? Not that it's careless to not stress, but when it comes, there will be a time to deal with it. Until it comes, if
yeah.
it ever comes, then I'm living in peace.
I love it. Yeah, we're very aligned, Bernadette. We're
Yeah.
we're very similar, with our philosophies and how we live. I love it. So thanks for sharing, and it's been a pleasure to be here. I really enjoyed it. Thanks so much. You've been a great host.
Yeah, thank you too. I think I have one more question. I'll figure it out. Where can people find you?
Oh, yeah, okay. My website is www.tonyharringtonco.com.
Okay.
So people can jump on there, have a look at what I do and things like that. I've written books, I've got programs and courses I help them. And if anybody needs any help, with money, financing, whatever, feel free to touch base because I do have a lot of free stuff that I actually give away to help people get started and move them in the right direction. So
Mhm.
happy to help out if anybody connects. That's fine.
Yeah, I love that you have free stuff because at times cost can be it can hinder people from their dreams and from getting help or from learning more. So I love that you have that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic.
Yeah, and one last question. Do you help people only in Australia or who are your clients and where are they in case people want to know?
Yeah, look, predominantly, I'm Australian based, of course, and, most of my target market is Australia. But when it comes to money and finances and the basics, it doesn't matter to me where people are because the fundamentals and the basics are always the same.
Hmm.
So I can help people from all over the world. So anybody that wants to connect and wants a bit of help or, wants to learn how to do things a bit better, by all means, touch base.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Well, Tony, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing your energy in this very space that I know it's going to help so many people. And thank you for what you do. Continue to do it.
Thank you so much, Bernadette, and likewise too, because, the more of us that are out there doing good things, the better this world's going to become.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. Enjoy your day. Have a great day.
You too.
Okay.
Bye.